I am glad I tried to share my screen because my preference wouldn't allow it. I had to reboot.
Okay. I hope everything is fine.
Yes, everything is fine on my end. Good thing I tested.
Great, yeah. Good morning, everyone. Hello, everyone. We'll give others a couple of more minutes to come in. And meanwhile, I hope everyone is doing great today. And I'm super excited to run this webinar. And considering the topic, I expect to see people from absolutely different areas and holding different positions. One way or another, we are connected by using the most popular channel of outreach that looks like will never lose its market, email outreach, of course. So while we are waiting, I would be interested to know who joins us today. Please feel free to drop a line in chat to share any details. What field do you operate? Why does this topic attract your attention? So please. Good morning, Ukraine. I'm also from Ukraine originally. Toronto here. And next, UK, USA. South Africa in the house. Hello. Argentina, India. Perfect.
Austin, I'll be there in 2 weeks.
Oh. Hello, Portugal. Hi, Argentina. Hi, Ukraine. Thank you, Shirley. Thank you. Okay, good to see that we have a pretty decent crowd here. And thanks for showing up. Let the webinar begin. Let me first share my screen. Okay, let's start. My name is Olga. I have been managing deliverability questions in Reply for about 5 years already. And for those who may not know, Reply is a sales engagement platform that helps you automate and scale multi-channel outreach so you can generate more leads, acquire new customers, and grow revenue faster. Let me also introduce Brian Minning, who is a Chief Operating Officer at Zero Bounds. Brian, can you please tell us a few words about Zero Bounds and your work?
Yeah, absolutely. And very excited to be here today. Thank you, everyone, for joining. I'm Brian Minnick, the Chief Operating Officer at Zero Bounds. And what Zero Bounds does is we help get you into the inbox, and we focus on deliverability, list cleaning, validation, and deliverability tools. So look forward to sharing a lot of information today, and I hope everyone gets some good takeaways.
Okay, thank you very much. So today we'll talk about 5 things to do before you launch your email campaign. We'll discuss how to prepare your domain for outreach, from technical configuration to gaining positive sending reputation, how to understand if your domain is ready to send, and how to build your further sending process after you're good to go. And the second part will contain a lot of practical information on how to manage your contact list that plays an extremely important role in outreach results, how often to review your list, which validation features can help to achieve better check quality, how to automate email validation. And we will also touch base on how to test your inbox placement and cover best practices that can help you to improve it. We'll be also happy to answer any questions you may have. So we'll allocate time in the end to cover as much questions as possible. So There are a few very basic but extremely important things to check before you start outreach. And domain age is the first one. Why is it so important? The typical spammer's behavior is to purchase a new domain, send a batch of spam emails, ruin domain reputation by this, and then purchase another new domain. The purpose of every provider is to detect spammers. New domains have no reputation, and absent reputation is a bad reputation. That's why if you send from a new domain, it's a huge red flag to providers that you may be a spammer. Let's define the acceptable age of your domain. The older domain is, the better, of course. Your domain is 1-2 years old, that's perfect. But if you are sure that time is money, a month can be considered as a possible minimum to start with. 3 to 4 months sounds a bit better. Age is not the only pillar of domain reputation. Even if you pull your perfect old domain out of the dusty chest, do not forget, warm activity comes along with the age. We'll get back to this later, but generally make sure you have from 2 to 4 weeks of activity for your domain before you start outreach. If you have an old domain in active use and you just create a new mailbox, you can warm up this mailbox for about a week or so to reinvigorate it before you start cold activity. And domain configuration is the second basic thing to do, but at the same time, it is still something that is usually missed or performed incorrectly. Why should you care about it? Domain configuration we talk about are needed to authenticate email. By authenticating email, you show recipients that your emails are sent by you with your goodwill and that these emails are not scam. If you skip this step, recipients' mail providers will most likely consider emails as suspicious, as if somebody is trying to send emails on your behalf, on behalf of your domain. And your emails have a high chance to be placed to spam or to be rejected. So, where to start? First, let's find out how to check your domain configuration. From my point of view, the easiest ways to do is to use Mail Tester, the tool most of you already know. Also, Zero Bounds has an amazing inbuilt tool to do a domain check. Brian will share all the details about this feature later. So on the slide, you see the example of Mail Tester report. This report has a section about email authentication, where you can see if you have any issues or not. Also here, in case you have any issues, you will get basic recommendation on how to fix. You can also use any online DNS check tools in case you are more experienced user and you need some details. In reply, we also have implemented the basic DNS check, and our deliverability team is always here to assist with fixing your domain. So you have identified issues with domain configuration. Now you need to know where to go. At the first, all the further changes you will do will be performed at your hosting website. It's a place where all settings of your domain are located, and at your mail provider admin panel. So you should have access to both of these providers' websites. When you purchase a new mail service, when you switch from one provider to another, please do not forget to check the support section of a new email service for any further instructions on how to authenticate your mails, how to adjust your domain to the new mail service. And here is the overview of the most critical records you should take care of. First, please make sure you have a mixed records in case you start working with a new mail provider. Or if you have switched providers, make sure you change your MX records from your old provider to the new provider. Otherwise, you will not be able to receive emails. And you will not know about it because it has no impact on your sending process. You will continue to send, thinking of why my reply rate is 0. It's only because you haven't configured MX records properly and you can't accept emails. Next goes SPF record. SPF record lists all the servers authorized to send emails from your domain. Make sure your SPF matches the rules. First, you should have only one SPF. Second, you should have a correct syntax. And your SPF should have 10 DNS lookups. Otherwise, you will see an error too many DNS lookups, and your record will be invalid. Next goes DKIM record. It's a digital key that has two parts. With this key, mail provider signs your emails. A private key, the first part, is stored at your mail provider site and you don't have access there, you don't need it. A public key is provided to you and it should be added to DNS. Next goes DMARC record. It has two functions. First, it instructs recipients for further actions with your emails based on SPF and DKIM check. And second, DMARC provides you as a sender with outgoing email traffic data. If you'd like to set a strong DMARC policy to protect your domain, please make sure you have authenticated all outgoing traffic from your domain. Otherwise, a strong DMARC policy will hurt your deliverability. And as mentioned, DMARC can provide you with reports about your traffic. What are these reports about? Each report summarizes the number of messages that were sent from a single IP address for report time period, the SPF, DKIM, and DMARC authentication results for your messages, and any actions taken by receiving servers. I'd also recommend using any online DMARC deployment tools for monitoring, because raw reports are not user-friendly at all in their original appearance. And now it's time for the first poll. Let me run this poll. So we are really interested. Have you ever checked your domain configurations? I will give you about a minute to vote. And Brian, from your experience, how often customers really check domain configuration and need assistance with it?
Certainly, it should be one of the first steps that you're doing. So once you have it and it's in a good place, I'd recommend at least once per month, just running a quick check and a quick scan. Anything can change. And you just want to make sure. And what I've also learned in our organization is maybe other people are making changes in the background in DNS that you're not aware of. And that might cause a trigger to have some issues on your mail server. So you definitely want to do a scan. I would recommend at least once a month.
Yeah, definitely. I absolutely agree with you that while from time to time you need to perform it. Okay, I think no, the poll is still live. So I'll give a few seconds to finish it and I will share with you the results. But yes, I definitely recommend it. In case you don't know how to do it, if you're not sure, you can forward all such questions to your IT department in case you have an IT department, of course, or you can always go to your mail provider support. You can go to support of any tool you use to send emails and to ask for help, ask to help you configure all the things. Okay, I think we can finish our poll and I'm going to, yeah, you can see right now the results. So 64% of people definitely check domain configuration, and 36% are not checking the domain configuration or haven't checked before. Okay, I will close and continue with the next section. So now let's move to warm-up topic that supervenes from the idea of building domain reputation. You can use warm-up for new domains or new email accounts, for domains or templates that are already in spam, or for balancing cold outreach. You can either do manual warm-up or automatic warm-up. To perform manual warm-up, you will need to involve people who will be able to open your emails, mark as not spam, to reply, to forward them. Your warm contacts shouldn't delete your email, opt out, or click spam, because these are negative interactions. Also, try to send a variety of emails to different providers, such as Gmail, Outlook, Yahoo, etc. It all looks very natural, but please make sure you have enough friends and colleagues and time for this, as ideally each day you need to add a batch of people you haven't contacted before. Automatic warm-up tools do all the job for you. I will show you reply warm-up as an example of such automation. When you connect your account to reply system, we automatically start sending emails from your account to other reply warm-up participants. Then, when your emails land into people mailboxes, we detect the place, spam or inbox, open emails, remove from spam in case of spam delivery, and reply to your emails. And of course, you will be also receiving emails from other participants, and we will perform such actions in your account with their emails. Note, you can be flooded with emails from other people. To avoid this, you will get an instruction on how to create a filter. After you do it, you will no longer see warm-up emails in your inbox, and you will not miss important emails from real people. So let's summarize. When you have a new domain without any reputation, or an old domain that was not used for a long time, I'd recommend to warm up for at least 3 weeks before you start cold outreach. So what to do next? Life after warm up. You have two options. First, you can stop warm up and start sending cold emails, and you can come back to warm up anytime you feel your rates drop. You can continue warm up. And the second option, you can continue warm up simultaneously with cold outreach to balance cold and warm traffic from your domain. In both cases, you need to remember one thing: increase your sending volumes slowly. Mail providers are super sensitive to sudden changes of volumes. So if you have been sending from warm up about 40 emails per day, you stop warm up and you start cold outreach with approximately the same volume. If you continue warm up, start cold outreach with lower volumes, because you should mind the general volume from your account. So warm up emails plus cold emails. And in reply, we have implemented a good feature called ramp up. It will automatically increase your daily volumes of cold emails from email accounts so that you don't need to increase them manually each day. Also, you can slow down the speed of sending by using email account throttling feature, as it slowly, as the slower send, as you slowly send, you make it safer. So, for example, here you may see by this configuration that you will start your sending volume from 40 emails per day each day. Reply will automatically add 10 emails of ramp up, and the speed of your sending process will be 1 email per 1 minute. And also reply warm up tool has a few useful features. You can integrate your templates and your signature to warm up system, and thus improve their reputation. So this is all from my side. Now I will stop sharing my screen and I will pass the word to Brian to continue.
Great, thank you so much, Olga.
Thank you.
Okay. So some really great information about warming up. Another piece of sending email, whether it's cold email or marketing campaigns, is also on the list. Deliverability is a very important topic, and let's define deliverability. Deliverability is getting into the inbox. That's the key. That is ultimately your goal. Get into the inbox and let people see your messages. Otherwise, your messages are in spam, no one sees them. You spend all this work, time, and effort for basically no outcome. As you know, no one's checking spam anymore. We are pretty much past this point. And so if it's not an inbox, imagine it was never seen. So with zero bounce and email validation, what you're doing is you're bringing the list into a platform. We are actually going out, connecting to each mailbox and each recipient on your list. We're seeing if there's a inbox that exists, and we are going to go ahead and classify all the emails that are on your list so that you know how to send to them better. What this really means is we're trying to get you a healthy list. I don't care who you are, what business you're in, you have invalid emails on your list. Fact. So the issue is that emails are churning, especially in B2B. At business domains, the emails are churning very The mail filters really like, they don't like to see bounces, and bounces trigger spam. Spam ruins your campaign. So a healthy list is one that you're building yourself. I'm going to give you the ideal scenario here, which is you're collecting emails, and in a perfect world, you're doing a double opt-in process on top of that. So you're sending them an email, hey, just want to confirm that you want to join our list. They click a button, now they're on your list. That is the best way to build the list. If you are out acquiring lists, obviously there's a lot of risk with that. And I hope everyone is aware of that. There's a lot of bad data that's on these lists. They are looking for size. They're looking to get the most money for that list. And remember, they're selling that list over and over. And when I say over and over, I mean it. I mean, they could sell this list 1,000,000 times. And we have to remember that we're in an age of technology where these mail servers are very intelligent. They can catch patterns. So if they keep seeing that, okay, they send to this guy, then this guy, then this guy, and they keep seeing it from different senders, you're spam. That's it. You're gone. They're going to put you in the filter, spam filter, and that's it. So you want to make sure that you're cleaning out any of the different types of emails that can be on your list. And I'll show you some examples of that in a minute. The best way to collect them would be to validate them in real time as you get them. We have a feature that allows you to do that. If you have any sign-up forms, we can go ahead and connect to the email field of the form. You can make a quick API call, and we can do something where we'll provide you back, was this an invalid email address, as you could see here, because of domain typo, or this would be a valid email address. We have seen a lot of use cases of people hooking us up onto their sign-up forms, catching typos. Remember, a lot of people are working on mobile phones, and we're fat fingering everything. So typos are definitely a real thing, and we can help resolve them and get the correct email on the get-go. So once you have some good emails and you have a list, and you've been mailing, let's say you're already working through your mail, you want to deal with unengaged subscribers. So you're sending to, let's just use round numbers, 100,000 emails, and a portion of those people have never opened your email, they've never clicked, they have not done anything. Let's consider them unengaged. You want to start looking at them and carefully make decisions on this. So for what we've seen, deliverability is a percentage game. And the higher your open rates are, the higher your click-through rates are, the better you look as a sender. And so how do you increase percentage without changing, without magically making up emails and getting them to view things? Well, reduce the denominator, right? So if you have 100,000 and they're not engaging, reduce that denominator so that the percentages automatically come up when you're talking about openers and clickers. So get rid of some of the list is basically what we're saying here. Remove the invalids because they're not going to get an email anyway, and remove some of the people that are no longer engaging. We've seen people do engaging campaigns to unengaged subscribers and say, hey, we just wanted to make sure you were even interested in us, in our mail. So that's another way to maybe just put a check in there. But eventually I would start to scrub those people out and put them into an unengaged campaign. Once is not enough. So when you're getting your email list or you have your email list, you might have verified it before. Many people have not. But once you have it, you do want to continuously cleanse it because, as I mentioned, things are moving, especially in B2B. I'm seeing so much change in email on the business side that it's really astonishing. So Zero Bounce, we obviously mainly accept business emails is what we work with on our platform. And we're still seeing over 30% of those emails churning. And then we're still seeing that amount of churn. So this is a real thing. People are job hopping. You need to make sure that you're getting the right emails. I would highly recommend that you're validating before any important campaign. Again, you want to go in with a great reputation and you probably put a lot of effort into your important campaign. The last thing you want to do is send to a bunch of bad email addresses and get your reputation tarnished from it. And as I mentioned, you can verify the emails in real time. So let's take a look at some of the different types of things. So, validation is a new topic for a lot of people. They might not have heard of it. And so
Looks like there is some connectivity issue. Let's give Brian a couple of seconds to come back. Yeah, thank you. Unfortunately, Brian is freezing because of internet connection. I am really sorry for such technical issues, but this is life and this is something that happens always. Okay, I assume Brian needs to reconnect to us. Meanwhile, let's probably check the section of questions and answers while Brian is reconnecting. I'm sorry to jump. Okay, Brian is here. Okay, welcome back, Brian. All is good. You are muted right now.
sorry about that.
Yes, you're back.
I must have had a glitch in the matrix. I'll just kind of start back from the slide. I apologize if anyone missed it. But validation has basic, everyone's used to syntax, which is, prefix, handle, at symbol, and a period. That's basic validation. It's too basic. It's not enough. What we're doing and what Zero Bounce does is we are going way deeper than that. We are going through checking again to make sure that you have valid recipients, which means that when you go and we ping the mailbox, actually go knock on the mailbox, does this recipient accept mail? We get an answer, yes or no. If it's no, we're going to go back and give you the answer. It says, hey, this is an invalid email. And if you were to send a message to it, it would hard bounce. It's a worthless contact for you as a mailer. And so you want to make sure that that's out. Another thing that we're able to do is detect abuse emails. And you might have heard of this as complainers. These are people that we have data on that are known to mark your emails as spam. This is so detrimental to your campaign. If you are sending emails and they're marking you as spam, that turns into mail servers reevaluating you. And you really want to be careful with it. So if we have known complainers that we've worked with sending partners in the past and still currently do, and we're receiving feeds when people mark things as over 10 times marking as spam. This is somebody we would call as an abuser or complainer, and we would scrub it off your list and say, don't send to them. If you're doing cold outreach, this is mandatory. Don't send to these guys. They are just going to mark you as spam, and it's not worth it. Another piece is spam traps. These are another thing that are heavily used when you're talking about purchase data. Spam traps are set up by the mail filters. There's many different types, but for the sake of today, a spam trap is basically, it's a trap. It's an email box that does accept mail, and in cases we've seen them actually engage, meaning opening, because they're opening the email, running through their script, looking who you are, and putting you on a blacklist. So if you send to a spam trap, they're going to immediately blacklist you and call you a spammer. And so you might ask, well, how would they do that? Well, that email address that you sent to was never intended to be out in the public. It had no business being out there. It never opted into anything. It's on a website that maybe a scraper went through and grabbed, and now put it onto a list and sold it to you. So you want to get spam traps off. This is imperative to get off your list. So that's one thing. Another is also disposables. These are emails that I like to call them burner emails. They're 10-minute emails. They're things of that nature. Not so much of a problem for cold emailing, but for your marketing campaigns and newsletters. We see a lot of people use this, and what they're doing is they don't really want to give you their information, and they are kind of bypassing your gate of requiring an email. They receive email, there's a website, you can go and grab them, and it functions like a full mailbox, except it self-destructs. And it self-destructs anywhere from 10 minutes to usually 24 hours. So they can send and receive from it on a website, but the next day when you go to send a campaign, it will bounce. We also do catch-all detection. I won't go too deep into it because it can get complicated. There's some gray area there with business domains. Toxic domains is another one you want to make sure you're getting rid of. These are all the bot emails. These are all of the known spam domains and emails. They're terrible for your sending reputation. You want to get them off. Another thing that we've seen pretty useful is the free email verifier. And what this is, just to be clear, we don't validate completely for free. We're detecting if it's a free email account or not. And by that, we mean, is it a Gmail account or is it a business domain? And what we'll see is sometimes it's good to segment those into different sending campaigns. So we're giving you tools to remove, be aware, and detect and possibly segment your campaigns. So with that, I'm very curious. How often have you cleaned your email list? We're gonna throw a poll up. A few options here. Give it a few minutes. Olga, from your side, what do you guys do for frequency?
Oh, we try to validate, for example, when we receive contacts and then before we launch the sequence, because there can be some period of time between those episodes. And this is something that I see typically from customers, is that when they receive emails somewhere, either it was manual collection or automatic collection, they validate and they forget about the fact that people can leave the company, email addresses can be invalid, and even sometimes at some point people send emails once, emails were delivered, and then they reuse this list after 1 month or 2 months, and emails start to bounce, which causes surprise why this is going. But yes, sometimes it happens. That's why I definitely support the idea of continuous validation.
Yes, it's a continuous process.
Mm-hmm.
So just to kind of recap as we're waiting for the rest of the poll to complete, for validation, what you're doing is you're chopping the list apart. And what you are doing is looking for the high quality emails in that list to send to. And again, we recommend every quarter, and especially when you're receiving the emails, or if you're getting a list, that you go and validate that. How are we looking on the poll?
Okay.
So quarterly, weekly. I mean, I'm very impressed with weekly. Once, typical, very typical to see just a one-time validation. Never at all. So I mean, this is really good information for you then, because it's really important to your sending campaigns. You do want to make sure that you are validating. Okay. About what I expected. Good stuff. So let's talk about how engaged your subscribers are, and some ways that we can help you with this. So when you're doing cold emailing, you more than likely have no idea who this person is, other than their title, and other than they work at this company, and they are your target, right? They are your target prospect. So many of these on business domains, they will be set up as what's called a catch-all. I'm going to keep it very simple for the context of here, but a catch-all means that the domain is set up to accept mail no matter what address you send to. So you can say blah, blah, you can say Brian, Olga, whoever, it doesn't matter. More than likely the email server will accept the mail. It becomes a little tricky when you're sending to catch-alls, because once it hits the mail server, then it might bounce, or it might go to a group of people, for an example. It might be an alias for another person. It's very common in the business world, because as people are leaving, they want to kind of forward that email to somebody else. And so what they're doing is they're creating catch-all domains. So what you want to do is be able to identify and get value out of those, because they have higher risk. So what we've done, because we just, again, are so focused on helping people get into the inbox and reach the right audience, is we have developed and released a feature called email activity. And what we're doing is we're able to detect activity on the email addresses. Be a opener, a forwarder, a clicker, or an unsubscriber, as well as that email address has been used to log into mobile applications. So what we're doing is we're able to say, okay, sure, it's catch-all, meaning there's gray area. We don't know what from a validation perspective, that's as far as we can take it. We cannot get behind their mail server. And so what we're doing is saying, okay, let's take another step at this and let's look at how much activity is on this. And what we're going to do is give you a time frame when we have seen the last activity, anywhere from less than 30 days to up to 1 year. So what you can do is take that feature as well. And what I'd recommend is to grabbing the people that have known activity in the last 30, 60, 90 days, sending a campaign just to those people, and taking it and making sure that you send to them. When you're doing that, we expect to see a higher amount of engagement on those emails. So I expect for you to be able to see a better return. So the people that are always engaging with you, it is good to send them. Oh, is my internet okay? I'm getting a message on Stable. Okay, sorry. Of course, webinar day. Why wouldn't it?
Of course, yes.
Why wouldn't I have internet issues? So yes, what you want to do is subscribe or segment your active subscribers. Send them. So break your campaigns up. Stop trying to send a million emails in one campaign. Take a step back, slow it down, break them apart, grab your active people, send to them, and work your way down to where you're getting to a point where you're comfortable with the response rates, the open rates, and the bounce rates. If things are increasing, that's your key to stop, because you're just going to make things worse. So what you want to do is segment, get the good stuff, and then slowly work it down to where you're no longer comfortable, because I'll tell you, when you're not comfortable, the mail servers are not comfortable. And that's when you go into spam. Obviously, target them, use personalized content, boost engagement. All these things will help. Another thing that we're able to do and help our customers with, because we know how important it is an inbox placement test. So what you're able to do, Zero Bounce offers this. We have a deliverability toolkit. It consists of 3 products: an inbox tester. We do a mail server tester, like Olga was showing earlier. And we also do blacklist monitoring for domains and IPs, and that's IPv4 and v6. Inbox testing, what we're basically doing is we're providing you seed accounts on many of the popular email platforms, such as AOL, Gmail, Yahoo, Outlook, things of these nature. And what you can do is send emails to our seed accounts, and we will run an analysis on you on your send to let you know where that email landed, if it landed on inbox or if it landed in spam. You want to do this before you're getting your campaign officially sent. You want to make sure you're inboxing before you send the campaign. Obviously, there's lots of things that could trigger it, but some ones that are easy to look at is your content. Is it getting past spam filters? Are you using caps? Are you using exclamation points everywhere? They don't like to see that stuff. And we all know that you can get excited when writing emails. So you got to be a little careful there. Images, is there too many images? Is there not enough the right content to support them? The mail servers do not like when you kind of try to trick them into tapping an image on their phone, something of that nature. So they are kind of looking at that. Links, are they direct? Do they go somewhere properly? Do they hit a 404 page? Another thing that we have seen is these like shortened URL links. They're no-nos, don't use them. Most likely your sending platform is probably going to put tracking on it anyway, so you don't need that second layer of tracking. Like the bit.ly links, bit.ly, all of those are going to spam. You have to make sure that you don't put those on your campaigns. And then obviously content formatting. One thing that's not good is hiding text, burying your unsubscribe link. Don't do any of that stuff. It's not going to help you. And this is something that usually people find interesting. If someone doesn't want your email, the best thing you can actually let them do is unsubscribe. And let me explain why. Besides the fact that you're not going to get marked as spam, which is a very positive thing, what you're doing is the mail servers see that as engagement. They see it as a click. It sends them out to a website churns, moves them off the list. Mail servers didn't know exactly what that was. They just saw engagement. So they opened and clicked. That's why you don't want to bury this stuff. I've seen people add, hundreds of enters and bury the unsubscribe, scrolling way down. Don't do it. let them unsubscribe if they don't want it. I challenge you to even put the unsubscribe higher up, because again, it's a click and it's helpful for your engagement. Rather than unsubscribe and mark as spam. Always remember that. Here's an example of something that we do for the inbox testing. It's a bunch of seed accounts. They're all over the world. So just to make sure that everyone is kind of helped here, we have accounts in different parts of the world, popular mail providers. We're also letting you know the spam engine that they're using, because many of them use similar ones. And so usually once you get past something, you can understand it and how it'll work for the others. But the end result here of inbox spam or missing, meaning it didn't even get to us at all. It was blocked, hard bounced, or soft bounced. You want to make sure that you're taking a look at this. You want a high inbox rate, and you want to make sure that the type of mails that you're sending, as an example, maybe you're sending a lot of Hotmail or Outlook, because that's what your list has a lot of. You want to make sure you're inboxing there. So Zero Bounds offers the inbox placement test, and you can try it out. It's free to use, 1 per month. There's no commitment, free accounts, all that. We're pretty big in letting everyone get a good feel for our products. So that's the inbox placement tester. And I'll just quickly touch on our email server and blacklist monitoring. These are, again, really important. If you're on a blacklist, I'm not sure how many people are used to it or have ever seen it, but if your domain or IP address is on a blacklist, first off, it's very painful. If you get listed, you got to get yourself off it. You got to cool everything down, and then you can slowly try to ramp it back up. But the thing is, if you are blacklisted, you want to know about that. Don't keep sending to people you're blacklisted on. It's not going to help you. So make sure you're setting up a monitor. What we will do, you can enter your domain or your IP address or both. And we will go ahead and scan at least, depending upon, we have different level packages, but our free package, once per day, we will go and scan to see if your domain or IP is on a blacklist. And if it is, we'll go ahead and email you and let you know the blacklist you're on. And sometimes a link to delist yourself, where you can go onto the website, just go ahead and put in your domain, and they will let you delist. So it's a really important tool. You want to make sure you're not on blacklist. It's, again, part of deliverability. You're not going to get into inbox if you're on a blacklist. And then for our mail server tester, as I was showing before, I'm not going to go through in detail, but we do a ton of checks. I thought I was technical until I saw the output of these type of tests. They are incredibly detailed, and definitely, someone that's familiar with mail servers and an admin of your mail server would be able to help you. Or maybe your DevOps team or anyone who handles your kind of domains and infrastructure will be able to help you. But really important stuff. And so that's our deliverability toolkit. It's the inbox tester, email server, and blacklist monitoring. And again, just plays a big piece to making sure you get into the inbox. That's our goal here at Zero Bounds. So I hope there was some useful stuff for everyone here today. And I know there was a lot of questions.
Definitely, Brian. Thank you very much. I was personally very interested in listening to you. Thank you very much. So what we're going to do now, we'll start with the section questions and answers in Zoom, and then we'll move to questions that are located in our chat. So the first question is how to explain to IT guys that we need a DMARC policy enabled. Andy, I think it's very simple. You can go to any mail provider support section and check the requirements for bulk senders. Most likely, in all the requirements, in G Suite, in Office 365, you will find a requirement to authenticate your emails fully by having SPF, DKIM, and DMARC. So DMARC is like the third record that is required, and the policy can be different. Your IT guys may worry in case you ask them to set a strong DMARC policy, because if it's set incorrectly or some mail servers are not authenticated, you have a chance to hurt yourself by hurting deliverability from those mail servers that are not properly authenticated. But in case this all is authenticated, everything should be fine. But definitely, the DMARC policy needs to be set, and you can prove it by showing any requirement of any mail provider support section for bulk senders. The second question from Maxime. Didn't Microsoft change politics about sending emails so you can't send one email more than per 1 to 2 minutes? That's correct. Microsoft is indeed very sensitive to the speed of sending, and that's why yes, I recommend to send to use the sending speed like 1 or 2 one email per 1 or 2 minutes. If you can send slowly, please feel free. That will be even safer. The next question, does the need to warm up apply to specific email address or only to entire domain? So here is the logic. In one domain, you may have several email addresses, and yes, each email address can also have its own reputation. So some mail addresses can perform better, some can perform worse. If you wish, you can use warm up for this particular mail address, but now we're talking about domain with reputation and those segments in different mail addresses. But there is another case. For example, you purchase a new domain and you created 5 email addresses and you think how many addresses to warm up. Here, the rule is simple. If you can warm up of all 5 email accounts, that will be perfect. If you can, try to warm up as much as possible. And the third option is that you have an old domain, you have several email addresses, and you just create one more email address, which is fresh. In this case, I recommend to warm up for at least about a week just to like inspire this domain, this email account to make it live, not to start sending cold emails at once. Okay, that's all from this section. And now let's scroll to our chat. So, what is the, 1 second, I need some time to scroll the questions. Okay. Currently using 0 bounds. Perfect. Does reply. Second, I have some issues with my mouse and I can't scroll.
No problem, Olga. Let me take one for you. So Michael asked, how do we know if our domain is on a blacklist? The way to check that is you can go to, so there's lots. So if you do, I'll get a link and we can send it. But if you just do a Google search for Zero Bounce blacklist check, it will put up our page and you're going to run an on-demand check instantly. We'll check to see if you're on the blacklist. But if you want monitoring, which is really what I'd recommend for a long-term solution, create an account with Zero Bounce and you can go ahead and add your domain to our blacklist monitor. And we'll just frequently scan it and send reports only on changes. So if you got listed, you get an email that you got listed. If you got yourself delisted, you would also get notified that that status changed now to green. So.
Okay, the next question. When warming up a domain, is it also needed to warm up a new IP address? I would say this, if you are a user of popular mail providers like G Suite and like Outlook, you will be using IP addresses that are shared across other users. That's why it doesn't make a lot of sense to warm up this address. They are already warmed up. But if you created your own mail server, or you know that you're using a dedicated IP address that was assigned only to you in such case, and you know that this address was not used for sending, in such cases, yes, it makes sense to warm up an IP address. In other cases, focus on your domain and that's all. As for recording, yes, we will send the recording of this webinar to every participant and you can take a look. How Zero Bounce validation difference from email validation in reply? In reply, we have 2 kinds of validations. First one, validation created by our development team. It's very simple validation. It's free. It's right now in beta, but still it's rather useful. And the second validation is integration with a third-party tool. So Zero Bounce is just a different tool with their own production team. Next question. This one was replied. Is it true that MailChimp is developing a pet reputation? Also, I pay monthly to MailChimp. Can I cancel them and send my 15,000 list more effectively at less cost? I can't comment on MailChimp because I'm not using this tool, and this is completely different technology of sending emails than in Reply. Reply sends emails different, and the purposes are different. That's why I'm afraid I can't comment on this. Brian,
Yeah, yeah, I can add some comments to it. So I think what we're seeing, and keep in mind, Zero Bounce, what we're doing is ESPs are actually starting to come to us as well, because so MailChimp and all the people who send email on your behalf, they don't want the bounces either. It's tarnishing their reputation, their IP addresses, and their infrastructure. And so I think in general, all of the mail servers or the ESPs are getting hit on bad reputation. Now, some of this might be luck of draw because there's shared IPs, like Olga's mentioned. You might be on a very bad one that got listed. And then you have to, you can either try to get it changed or you can change the provider. If you're paying, $205 monthly to MailChimp, and can you cancel them? Yeah, there's always more cost-effective solutions, but balance the quality of it, because, what does your campaign get you in return? If it's thousands of dollars, don't be scared to have a good mail server, because you need to make sure that message gets into inbox. Also, maybe if it's helpful, Jerome, removing those bad lists or bad contacts from your list, 15,000, I'm almost willing to guarantee you we would take 10 to 30% of your list and say, don't use it. We usually can bring down and give you immediate ROI on dropping your list size. So you're not paying as high of a monthly fee for contacts that are basically undeliverable.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. The next question: if a mailbox Outlook is frequently blocked, then what should we do? Oh, this is a very interesting question. Microsoft, in their support documents, they mentioned that you can send more than 30 emails per minute from a tenant. So in some from all email accounts. But what I notice is that they also react like G Suite, they also react to the speed of sending. And if you change your sending behavior. So the tip number one I would recommend here is to slow down a bit for a while. Try to send one email within 2 minutes. Try to slow down and it should be fine. And also you can remove a restricted user from Microsoft admin. But yes, this is the top recommendation here. Do you have an email hosting vendors you would recommend? SendGrid, Mailgun. First, you need to understand why to use SendGrid and why to use Mailgun. SendGrid and Mailgun are email service providers, like mediator between you and, for example, Reply, like in our case. In case you don't use SendGrid and Mailgun for sending emails from SendGrid and from Mailgun. In Reply, most of our customers are using G Suite and Microsoft mail providers as most popular. I don't see a lot of sense of using mediators in our case when you connect to Reply. It makes sense when you are constantly getting blocked for some reasons. For example, you have your changes of sending volumes once a week. Then yes, it may make sense. But generally, you can stay with your mail provider. SendGrid and Mailgun are also good providers, but for their own purposes. For example, if you send 15,000 emails per couple of days. Reply has the different purpose. In Reply, when you send emails, you imitate that you have manually created those emails, so they don't look like automation. And we send emails from your own mail server, would be G Suite or Office. Next question for you: does Zero Bounce show where email dropped?
I don't know how to interpret where emails dropped. So it's a little hard for me to answer the question, but I will show where the email dropped. We will, so maybe I'm answering the question. If not, please feel free, Varya, to add more context. We will show you why the email address is invalid. So examples might be there's no DNS records on the domain. Well, if there's no DNS on the domain, it can't accept mail. So if there's no MX records, it's never going to accept mail. So yes, we will show you some sort of insight. We will also let you know the mailboxes that have the quotas exceeded and they're no longer accepting mail for that reason. So we do provide as much detail as we can give back to you. And I think, and I hope I'm answering your question there, but we will give you some ideas as to why that email is no longer deliverable.
Perfect. Thank you. The next question: is it better to have a dedicated IP address or shared IP address? So here is what I may recommend you. If you have a dedicated IP address, you should understand that you are the only one who takes responsibility on this IP address. Yes, it will not have any impact of other people who are sending, but you need to make sure, you need to constantly monitor your IP address. You need to make sure everything is fine. You need to put a lot of efforts to support the reputation of this dedicated IP address. If you have efforts, if you have a development team to do this, yes, you can do it. While shared IP addresses, yes, some people will use it also. You don't know what exactly are sent to those people, but you need to understand in such cases, mail providers are managing everything for you, so you don't need to take care about it. That's why every option has its pros and cons.
Yeah, I just want to add something here. There's pros and cons to both. If you don't have the resources to support a dedicated IP address, and like a team to help you, and also you have to keep that warm. You can't ignore it for 6 months and go, oh yeah, my IP is clean. It's cold. That's the problem. So you want to also make sure that you're keeping it warm. If you are just on your own, I'd still recommend the shared IP or using G Suite, with a layer like Reply on top of it. You'll have more success.
Mm-hmm. Next question. What is the main difference between Reply and MailChimp? In technology, Reply sends emails from your own mail server. So we look like a mail client, desktop client. Of course, we're not a desktop type client, but this is like the simple explanation. MailChimp has their own mail server, and they send emails from their mail server, not from yours. And the purposes of such tools are different. The next question, has Reply your integration with Zero Bounds? For now, not, unfortunately.
Yeah, we don't have the integration, but maybe we should revisit that. I want to add one more difference between Reply and MailChimp, and for me, it's just more generic. MailChimp is really great for your newsletters. It's great for your notification systems that are, hey, we released a new product, please check it out. But what I think it's very poor at is the personal touch. It lacks all of that, and that's where tools like Reply, they give you a feeling like I sent you the email personally, and you will never get that from MailChimp, because you'll get the footer, you'll get design, you'll get all this different type of stuff. So like Olga saying, it's definitely a different use case for each one of them. We have both. We use both.
Definitely. Oh, I think we have several more questions in the section question and answers. Maxi, I'm not sure. I'm sorry, not sure if I missed the question about Microsoft Politics, but yeah, I actually replied, but I will repeat. The idea is that yes, Microsoft, they are sensitive to the speed you send. That's why 1 email per minute, 1 email per 2 minutes should be much better than more frequent sending process. The next question, can we set up a short meeting with Brian? We believe we're currently on blacklist, Brian.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, so I know we have a lot of people from around the world. With Zero Bounds, we have 24/7, 365 days a year, around the clock live support with Zero Bounds employees. Just to be clear, we're not outsourcing any of it. These guys are experts and they can help you as well. So I'd be happy to help, but also I just want to make sure everyone has that outlet. You can go and chat with our team, and you will get a very high quality level of support and guidance as well. So feel free. But yes, and I have your email.
Yeah, I've also saved it just in case. Okay, the last question. What does it mean to be whitelisted? Let's say your domain is blacklisted in a particular blacklist. Each blacklist has their own rules on how to get out of that blacklist to whitelist. So you can follow these rules and get your domain whitelisted. There is also some blacklists that accept prevention, like to prevent they whitelist you before you get blacklisted. For example, blacklist like Barracuda. You can go there, you can give your domain classified. They allow you to select a classification for your domain, for example, business or email sending. And you whitelist, you let this blacklist know what you are doing. And this means whitelisting, so either removing from a blacklist or preventing you from getting into blacklist by letting the blacklist know what you are doing. Oh, thank you very much. Okay, I think this is all for questions. We were very happy to handle this webinar. It was super interesting, and I hope this is that was super useful. Please feel free to contact either me or either our team or Zero Bounds team for any additional questions. We will send the link to the webinar after the webinar is over.
Great.
And thank you very much.
Olga, thank you as well. It was a pleasure, and thank you everyone for joining. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, everyone.